using that Efreet's teleportability, that's fine. There's a bunch of things that we
Sure.
even haven't had any time to touch on, Brennan. And like you know what? I'll post that in the chat window too. Some of the interesting things, like the unit abilities. There's just an amazing number of unit abilities. And you can, if you want to pull up. Are you still on the battle board? I'm a little behind you. If you could,
I already beat him.
if you already won it.
Yeah.
Well, the next time you're in there, or actually, you can pull up the armies menu and let them take a look at that, and then show them the unit display where you can go and look at the unit abilities, because a lot of them have tool tips.
The unit
and not all of
them. Or let's see.
Yeah. Yes. You pull up the. You got it.
Yep. And so the skills, right?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking
and you
about?
can see. Yes,
Cool.
you can see some of the what what unit abilities those units have, and there are just a lot of them. Like I said, really anybody that's interested, there's just so much to the game. You can go in wiki and really dig through. And there's a lot of, like I said, synergy and interconnected. So like, okay, those Grey Elf druids that are surrounding the that city there, by themselves, they're really kind of sorry. They're a bottom tier melee unit that just isn't very good. They don't have a ranged magical attack. But what they do have is the ability to cast spells. And right now, they don't gain mana when they level up. They're going to.
Gotcha.
I would go so far as to say they're supposed to. But it's a matter of time. And but they've got spells that they can cast. So if you've got an army of just like you've got high men there, and you've got high men spearmen, but you've taken a Grey Elf city, you've trained a druid, you take them into battle with you. That druid can cast aid on your spearmen.
Yeah.
And that's going to add 20 hit points. Well, to a to a level 1 group of spearmen, that's going to take their hit points from 32 to 52. That's a significant gain.
Absolutely.
You've really increased the survivability of that unit. And of course, since they gain experience, making sure your units survive is a big part of the long-term strategy.
Right.
You want to make sure you keep them alive as long as possible. So.
Right on. You mentioned that the AI isn't quite where you guys want it to be yet.
No.
Do you want to talk about where you're heading with that and what we can expect to see in the future?
I can talk about what I'm wanting to see.
Okay, sure.
The thing, believe it or not, we've reached the point where we're putting together a sort of master document for the overall AI strategy, and that is still in a state of flux right now. What we would like to achieve, and AI is an extraordinarily complex subject, and it's one of the areas where a lot of kids fall down, and especially when teaching somebody to sit down and play this game. It takes a while. None of these things are particularly complex when you look at them individually. It's the way they work together. This is the kind of game where you can pick up in minutes. You start a new game, you play through the tutorial, bam, you got it. No problem. Becoming a master, getting really good at the game, okay, that's going to take some time. That's going to take some dedication. So when we're talking AI, we've got to teach the AI that, okay, what you want to do is take these druids, send them along with some highmen spearmen, have the druids cast aid on the spearmen, and then keep the druids back while the spearmen do the fighting. Okay, you got to teach the AI to do all that.
Yeah.
And there are so many pieces that work together. What we would like to do, in theory, is make it where you could put together a sorcerer lord build where you've got these spell circles, these disciplines, this starting race, and the AI dynamically develops a strategy where it's going to grab and research these spells. For instance, just what you had pulled up right there, where it's going to get giant strength and unholy weapon because it realizes both those things can be cast from the world map as persistent spells. So it will be able to take low tier units, cast giant strength and unholy weapon on them from the world map, and although you'll be paying a maintenance fee in per turn. Another thing we haven't even mentioned yet to the people that are watching, you'll notice that on the battle board his mana bar is limited.
Yeah.
And that is limited by your spellcraft skill. So he can only use X amount of mana per battle. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
Well, using spells from the world map, like casting Giant Strength or Unholy Weapon, that's magic that you've prepped up to bring to the battle board before you're actually in the battle.
Sure.
So when you walk in with these persistent spells, you've already brought a lot of magical power to the board that's outside the scope of that limitation.
Right.
And we've got to teach the AI to do the same thing, or the player will be able to mock the AI.
Yeah.
Because you'll be, you will very quickly realize, okay, one of these strategies I use to overcome things with damage resistance. We were talking about the danger of werewolves earlier.
Right.
When I'm playing a sorcerer lord with augmentation, I will stack the different, freezing weapon, flaming weapon, acidic weapon. I'll stack them onto a single unit, because each one of those bypasses damage reduction. So they'll hit, and their melee damage, their slashing or piercing or whatever, it won't hurt the werewolf. But then the werewolf takes fire damage, cold damage, and acid damage. Unholy is actually bad to use on werewolves. They've got a resistance to it. But anyway, all of these are stacked. And so, boom, the hit, do major damage. And, now, anyway, the point is, going back to AI, that imagine trying to teach the AI to discover that dynamically.
Sure.
It's very tricky. And so, it's one of those cases where, look, we know what we'd like to do, and we have to, bring that down to the level of what is feasible to do.
It's kind of funny. We're talking a little bit about AI, and two things happened that I found hilarious that I wanted to share. First, during that battle, I summoned my zombies as per norm, right? The druids respond by going, ha ha ha, that's funny, your zombies are ours now. And that was probably the most terrifying moment I've had in World of Magic. I was like, that's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other thing is...
I will say this, too.
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
And the other thing I thought was pretty hilarious is I declared war on the Yellow Lord while we were talking, and he, the next turn, offered me about 8 gold per turn to sue for peace. So
yes, the sorcerer lords are incredible wusses right now, and that will be refined. They give up as quickly as possible, and we've got to fix that. But the tactical AI is actually pretty good now.
Yeah.
Looking at it's pretty good, and it will do things that will surprise you. And it catches me off guard. And so the tactically, the AI is pretty good. It's the overall the sorcerer lord AI, where the sorcerer lord has to have a persona with the overall goal obviously is to win the game, but it's got to do that dynamically,
right?
And it's got to be flexible, and that's. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky to do right, and like I said, this is going to be a living game, and this is the kind of thing where, look, we are doing the best we can.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's pretty good. I'm not talking the team down at all. It's just there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to be done, and there will probably be updates that very quickly after the initial release, as people are saying, well, the AI does this and this is just stupid. You go, okay, well that is stupid, and we'll go in and we'll tweak it and we'll change it and we'll get it where it's doing something that isn't so stupid. So,
right.
but and that's there again. That's one of the advantages of.
Sorry, I had a 42 damage hit that I was pretty proud of right there.
Yes, that's epic. And by the way, putting the unholy weapon on your summon unit there, that's good. Yeah. I love watching other people play, believe it or not. Just seeing what they come up with, because you go, now you've got that enchantment on a unit that's disposable. Right. And so you can totally risk them without any risk. Giant Strength is a cheap way to get a good buff, by the way. I love Giant Strength because it's so low cost. Check that out. And it just adds flat damage. So it's like against werewolves, it's barely gonna. It'll help, but not a great deal. But against normal units, no, it's good because it's +2 to attack and damage.
Yeah.
And since by the way, guys, y'all are seeing these units have more than one member in them. Each member gets an individual attack roll.
Oh,
and
very
so,
cool.
Upping the to hit can greatly increase your damage.
Yeah.
Because it's actually based on each one making an attack roll and then hitting or not.
Oh,
and
very
so,
cool.
giant strength is it's got both ends. It's both to hit and to the damage. So it's a really good spell. I like it because it's low cost. So, but
so let's see. Yeah, Good.
I was just gonna say no. You. It's funny just watching you play. I get entranced and I forget what I'm talking about. It's just like I said, seeing somebody else play. It's another interesting thing about the game. It's like we've provided a box of toys.
Yeah.
I said, okay, what do you want to play with? And then watching what somebody else picks, you go, oh my gosh, that's really good. I never do that, but that's such a cool idea.
Yeah. I get it.
Right after we opened early access, something I never thought of. We got a life spell called Swap. It's a life summoning spell. The idea being that if a unit gets in trouble, it's units up there at the front line, and it's taking damage and is about to die, you can cast Swap.
Sure.
And you move a unit from the back up to the front instantly and get that unit out of danger. That was what its purpose was. That's why it was made that way. Well, a guy he played the Grey Elves. Yeah. And they've got some heavy hitting slower units, the Glaive Guards, that are a little bit slower but heavy hitting. Then they've got Unicorn Riders, which have teleport, but they're kind of lightweight. Well, what he was doing, he posted about this on our forums. I was like, this is just brilliant. You got Swap. Trains a Unicorn Rider with a bunch of Glaive Guards. Teleports up like amongst the enemy archers.
Yeah.
Casts Swap to swap that light Unicorn unit out with the Glaive Guards.
Oh no!
So he's basically used the Unicorn's teleport ability
as
combined with the Swap spell as a way to get his hard-hitting units in amongst their archers on the opening round of the combat. And you go, that's brilliant. I mean, I can't believe it didn't hit me before. And seeing people do stuff like that, it is a very rewarding part of the design process.
Yeah.
When you see someone take what you've come up with and do something with it that you never anticipated.
Definitely.
And you go, that's just brilliant. I love it. And so it really is. It's neat for me to see other people play. A lot of times, there have been people that have made, little early access Let's Play videos and short little series. And I watch a lot of them. When I hear about them, people end up, posting links on our forums and all kinds of things. I'll go check them out just to see what other people are doing. What are they interested in? What do they find most exciting? Right. It's amazing how few people choose High Men and Life. I'm just a rarity, I guess.
Yeah, no. I love going into Life specifically for like the soil buffs and for the healing myself. Because that heal you mentioned this earlier. That heal spell is just a necessity, I think, because it really gets your units back in the fight.
Especially with, and it's especially keeping them alive, especially in the early game, is really, really important. I mean, you take Elven Archers, which are they're okay. They're depending on what they face, they're really good units even at the beginning, but level 1 Elvish Archers compared to like when you've got them maxed out at level 6, they're incomparable. I mean, they're totally. It's like two different units, and you go, they're frail. I mean, when you first start out, they've got 20 hit points.
Sure.
One good hit, something end up amongst them, they're dead. Yeah. Well, by the time they're level 6, I actually don't remember how many. I want to say it's above. They may have crossed the 80 line. That might be wrong. But either way, in the 60s, I can't remember right off the top of my head. Too many units, or just too many in the game for me to remember the hit points of every unit at every level.
Yeah.
But it's significant. And the thing is, their damage doesn't change. They've got the same old damage, except that to hit, they've got 4 members. And when they're max level, their to hit is like +10, I believe.
Okay. Sure.
And so a lot of the time, all 4 arrows are going to hit.
Right
and you can go, that makes a massive difference. And so, keeping them alive is just such a It really is important. And there again, it depends on your play strategy. You can play the Unhallowed, and you go, no, the bottom level units are disposable. And when I get to Arcane Wraiths or Death Guards, that's when those are the ones I'm